Hello, this is Ava from Soul GPS. Welcome. Today I wanted to give you 2 ways through which you can recognize whether you're dealing with a toxic, manipulative, narcissistic, evil person. I am going to be drawing from some literature today. I have this book, People of the Lie by Scott Peck here with me. I highly recommend this book for anyone who wants to go deeper into understanding the psychology of evil, and also on an individual basis as well as on a group basis. And I want to be very clear here that evil and narcissism are very closely linked. In this book, he draws that connection. So what are the 2 ways through which you can tell whether you're dealing with someone evil? First is you're going to get a feeling of revulsion. Here's what he has to say about this. The feeling that a healthy person often experiences in a relationship with an evil one is revulsion. The feeling of revulsion may be almost instant if the evil encountered is blatant. If the evil is more subtle, the revulsion may develop only gradually as the relationship with the evil one slowly deepens. So it could be something we're hit with really strongly, or it could be something that we discern over time. There is a mark of consistency when it comes to people who are narcissistic, as this disorder does penetrate them very deeply, right to the core. So pretty much everything that they do is going to have or bear a mark of that manipulation and that evil, that darkness. So you need to be paying attention to that. And thankfully, we do have this mechanism in us, which I call Soul GPS. You can call it intuition or an internal radar system that is going to alert you that you're dealing with something foul, something fishy, something odd, something that's not quite adding up. And this is leading me now to the second way to recognize that person, and where especially when things are not adding up, and that is confusion. And here's what Scott has to say about confusion. He says there's another reaction that the evil frequently engender in us, and that's confusion. Describing an encounter with an evil person, one woman wrote, "It was as if I had suddenly lost my ability to think." Isn't that the case? Again, this can happen quickly, or it can take some time, where the layers of lies eventually make us so confused we are having a hard time telling what's real versus what isn't. I actually made a series of manipulations of a narcissist on my channel, in which I begin. It's a 10-part series with confusion. Part 1 goes deeper into that, so you're welcome to check that out. There's something else that he says about confusion that I really wanted to mention here, because I find that's really, really important, and that is from such deductions we can arrive at another law of child development. This is where he goes into a little bit deeper into how our mind is shaped by the people that we grow up around. He says that this one is specific to the problem of evil. When a child is grossly confronted by significant evil in its parents, it will most likely misinterpret the situation and believe that the evil resides in itself. And isn't this exactly what happens when we first come out of the denial and experience the shock of the recognition that this is something we've been baiting in for a majority of our life? You know, some of us have been in it for our entire life. Some of us maybe have had a relationship, and that has given us a taste of that. So whatever it is that you identify with, this, I wanted to mention this because this can be so incredibly validating. Now, this is also very important, that there is a consistency to this behavior that we need to pay attention to, because of course we're confused by a variety of things in life. We may be repulsed by certain things, by certain behaviors. That doesn't necessarily need to mean that the person we're encountering is evil, because again, there's complexity to human behavior. What you want to look for is consistency. You're seeing it over and over again. There's almost like this feeling of this slow burn. It's always present there. You're always on this alert. You're always questioning, wondering what is going on, right? So be very aware of that. So there's a remarkable consistency. I'm just scanning through the pages, seeing what else I could read to you here that would be very helpful. There's a predominant characteristic of the behavior of those that I call evil, and that is scapegoating. Again, super important. The blame shifting, right, that they do. The evil attack others instead of facing their own failures. It's as if they're always running away from their conscience, which is very actually interesting, because we often talk about, when we talk about narcissists, we say that, these are people without conscience. Not quite. Yes and no. There's a subtlety, there's a nuance here that is very important to distinguish. I want to mention that here real quick for you because it's important, and which is basically that they are utterly dedicating to preserving their self-image of perfection, right? So they want to maintain the appearance of moral purity, and the lies, there's this intense desire to appear good, right? There's a lot of pretense. There's a lie. This is why these are called the people of the lie. The lie is designed not so much to deceive others, here's the key, as to deceive themselves. So there must be some rudimentary form of conscience that must precede the act of lying. There's no need to hide unless we first feel that something needs to be hidden, right? Contemplate on that. This is so interesting. So he says that I think they have an acknowledged sense of their own evil nature. Indeed, it is this very sense from which they are frantically trying to flee. Yeah, they're experts as this guys. It is seldom possible to pinpoint the maliciousness of the evil. It's quite impenetrable. But what we can catch are glimpses of the uncanny game of hide and seek and the obscurity of the soul, in which the single human soul, evades itself, avoids itself, hides from itself. Amazing book. So if it's something that you can relate to, something you've been struggling with, again, I highly recommend you check out the book. Now, what are the usual reactions, right, that we retort to? I had already mentioned in the beginning. It is explanations. It's rationalizations. We want to deny that this is happening because this is a hard truth to digest. This is heavy. This is huge. This is serious. So this has made me to go on this sort of contemplative journey to try to figure out, why is it that we can dwell in this denial for so long? And I think that there may be, and I want to invite you to comments here, but maybe there's something, it has something to do with the repercussions of that realizations, because a lot of us, myself included, prefer to believe deeply that there is no evil, that there's just fear, right? Which is, evil is based in fear, obviously, but that every single person has the ability to be redeemed. And maybe that is so, I don't know. But based on what we've encountered in our life, if you're here on this channel, you've been through this, you've brushed your shoulders with evil. You know that it's not the case. You know that actually these people do exist. It is partly why our world looks the way that it does, where we constantly have to clean up the messes of those people. And, it is not an easy truth to digest. It is so much easier to believe that it's not the case. So, again, I invite you to comments, to ask questions, to share your stories here. I also want to encourage you to be safe. If you do feel revulsed or confused, take it as a sign, take it seriously, and run. That's another advice that Scott gives in this book, is that if you don't know how to deal with these people, which few people do, because it requires a tremendous amount of force and inner power and resolve, and even some of the strongest people mentally and emotionally can barely do this. If you don't know how to do this, run, because these people will destroy your life. So be safe out there, and as I often say, allow the inner compass to guide you. Blessings to all of you. Bye-bye.